Coming up on Let's Get to the Points.
I want to introduce you guys to Chu. I found out about Chu through YouTube.
Chu, have you not been on a business class flight yet?
I hear a lot of amazing things about Q Suites. Everybody talks about like the Steve Harvey thing, like, oh, just pay a little bit more money and the upgrade will be worth it. So I put a little bit more money, and let me tell you, one and done. Not doing it again.
And later,
Serena is living life at sea.
I am on Royal Caribbean's Icon of the Seas, which is the biggest cruise ship in the world.
How did you get on this cruise? Because there was a little bit of drama that went down with your flight, right?
Lots of drama.
now let's get to the points. She loves to pretend being a crazy rich Asian. It's Serena. Sometimes his journey is the destination. It's Miguel. She takes family budget travel to another level. It's Nicole. And he only lies flat over the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean. It's Mitch Shannon.
Welcome and thank you for joining us on Let's Get to the Points video and audio podcast, where we bring you the very best in tips and tricks in the world of miles, points, and travel. I'm Mitch Shannon, and I am joined by my beautiful co-hosts who love traveling the world with their families using their credit card points and miles. First up, she's currently enjoying life at sea with multiple trips to the buffet. It's Serena.
Hi, everyone.
He's got his bags packed for his next adventure, and I feel it involves a very nice business class seat. It's our Miguel.
Yeah, what's up?
And it's summer, and she's nowhere to be found. At her home, that is. It's Nicole.
Hi guys, how are you?
Please help us out. Click that subscribe button now to our YouTube channel, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or wherever you watch or listen. Also, give us a like and leave us a comment below and tell us what you think about our show. We got a very special guest up next, so let's do it. It's time to do it. Let's get to the points. All right, tonight we have got a jam-packed show for you guys. Our good friend from Choose to Explore, who loves to teach you how to see the world and save a dollar. He's with us tonight, and Serena is living life at sea aboard the new Icon of the Seas cruise ship. And we're going to talk about what she's doing and how the buffet is a little bit later for her. But, you know, I thought we would get started tonight with Choose to Explore, and I think you guys need to give him a proper introduction because I just can't do it.
Why? Because he flies Spirit? No, I'm just joking. Well, I want to introduce you guys to Chu. I found out about Chu through YouTube. I remember him posting this video about how to maximize. And once I heard the word maximize, I was sold. But how to maximize your PTO by taking strategic days off from work and getting extra long weekends out of the deal. I am so glad you're here today, Chu, to teach all of them how to fly Spirit comfortably, see the world, and save a bunch of dollars.
I don't know if I could teach you guys how to travel Spirit comfortably, but I'll do my best.
I bet Nicole's happy because Chu's a big Spirit fan.
I got her back. She gets bullied on this thing.
Thank you.
Oh dear, I see how this is going to go tonight.
Also, I want to congratulate you, Chu, on making 50,000 subscribers on YouTube. That is a huge milestone.
Truly appreciate it. And don't worry, you guys are up next sooner than you know it.
Yeah, I saw that you posted a video when you did a Q&A where you said you went from 5,000 to the 50,000 in a 2-year period. How did that journey come about? I mean, did you always kind of plan to have this big YouTube channel, or was it kind of a hobby and it grew into this? Or tell us about your YouTube journey.
I wouldn't say I never had plans to have a big channel. I started traveling just because I had a lot of friends who played professional basketball overseas, and I just went and visited them. A lot of people from where I'm from, they don't travel. They don't go places and they don't see things. So for me, it was just like a fun hobby that I'd love to share and show people. People started to grow interest in it, and I started posting videos, and to my surprise, people started enjoying them. And from there, it just kind of grew. I started enjoying the process and recording and editing and storytelling. Now I'm at 50,000 subscribers, and I hope that it continues the way it is. Every time that I upload a video and people watch it and message me kind things, I'm like, wow, like you actually like my video. But it's just something that I'm passionate about and something that I enjoy doing that blossomed into something that I didn't really expect.
I have no doubt that it's going to keep on growing because your editing skills and those drone shots that you have, I mean, they're just amazing. And that's, you know, what drew me into your videos as well. Do you look back at your earlier videos and kind of cringe, and maybe you look at it like, how could I have published that compared to your videos now?
You know, all the time people always tell me like, I love your videos. I love it. And I always ask them like, what video did you watch? And like some of my earlier videos were just god awful. Not even just like the camera equipment and the lack of mics and bad lighting and not knowing what to do, but really just the actual content. Like there's times where I've been places and my drone crashed, and I promise you, I thought that I would have a horrible video because I didn't have the fancy equipment. But what it really showed me is really having good content is really the most important thing. Like giving people quality information. Everything else is just fluff, like supporting information. It's good to have pretty shots, but if the content isn't good, you don't keep people engaged, it's not going to do well. I look back and I cringe, but people still subscribe and people still tell me that they love those the content from there. So to each their own, right?
That's right. And I think the main thing is actually to just actually create content and put it out there. We doubt ourselves a lot with what we can create and publish. And a lot of times we don't post. You know, there's been a lot of times where I create a video and I hesitate to post it. And maybe a few weeks later, I finally post it and it does so well. I'm like, wow, this was such a silly or dumb video and it did so well. You just never really know what people are going to like or engage with. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I think it's just about just putting stuff out there.
Absolutely. You can't control the algorithm. Things that you spend hours with don't do well. Sometimes things that you just spring together, that's a little comedy video, does well. And you're like, the best thing is just be consistent, do the things that you enjoy and let it take over. Don't take it too seriously and enjoy it.
Okay, Chu, one of the questions I have for you tonight is, so when I travel, I love going to your channel and looking at your videos because you are all about the destination. Like where you go, you love showcasing that, you love showing that off, and you love to show people how to see the world and save the dollar. And I love that. For me, sometimes it's about the journey and how I get there. And that's great, right?
Of course it is.
So, of course, right? Wouldn't have it any other way. So I guess one of my questions for you, Chu, is out of all the destinations that you've been to, what has been your favorite place that you have been to?
You asked me really tough questions right out from the bat. I think it's really tough to really answer this because a lot of times it's about the people that I'm with and the experiences that I'm having. I'll say the places that I really loved and enjoyed. I really loved Egypt because that was one of my first places that I went. I went there by myself. I didn't speak Arabic. I didn't know anything, and it was just being thrown in and everything was so different. And I loved being in new and uncomfortable experiences. I was just actually in Brazil and I was in Rio. I was only there for 5 days and I had an amazing time. Rio might be my favorite city in the world.
Plus, you got that excellent drone footage. Oh, that was so good.
Well, actually, funny situation about Brazil is I actually crashed my drone the first day that I was there. So I have no drone footage. I actually just have one clip.
Oh, it's the best one.
Yeah, it was a really good shot. I wish I had more. And I got to go to Jamaica. You know, I'm Jamaican. You know, I got to big up my people.
I was about to say, you better put Jamaica on the list.
I got to go to Jamaica.
I'm coming for that passport.
Jamaica is amazing. And from my family's there. There's so many things to do. Amazing food, the best food in the world. So got to put Jamaica up there.
Must. Let's just move it to number one, you know? And Spirit flies there. Number 1++.
So, Chu, tell us about your points and miles journey. How did you get started with points and miles, and how much do you incorporate points and miles into your current travel?
I use points and miles, and I actually learned a lot about it from you guys. I actually started learning about points and miles maybe about 2 or so years ago. One of my good friends, Ronnie, from The Road to 100 Countries, really got me into it and talking to me about different things. From there, I started looking into it, and the first card that I ever got, Nicole, you might want to cover your ears, was a Hilton card. Ronnie started talking to me about the different cards. I just didn't see the value in them because to me, cash just seemed, I could use cash to buy a ticket and I didn't see the value in the points, but it really changed my mind once I saw the Hilton card and the value that it has, because the free night award you get, the diamond status, the room upgrades, the credits that it gives you, it was kind of like a no-brainer. And even though I had a high annual fee, which was $450 at the time, it really changed my perspective. And once I got that card and then I got priority pass and I started going to the lounge, it kind of opened up my eyes a lot more to more luxurious style travel. Even though I'm not really impressed by it, it just was like, I have access to it. I use points and miles as really like an accessory. I know a lot of people only travel on points and miles, but for me, I find so many good cash fares that a lot of times it doesn't even make sense to use points for them. For example, I know a lot of people love the Flying Blue program because it's like 15K points to go to Europe and like maybe like $100, $150 for the one-way ticket. But for me, especially being in JFK, I fly with like Norse Airways, Level Airways, French B, Play. All of these, I get promotion fares for $100, $125. $150. So for me, I'd rather just fly with cash versus using the points. It all depends on the value. I would say if I really want to save, fly one way there and fly cash back. But I usually use my points for long haul flights.
Chu, when are you going to use some of those points for a business class flight?
I knew you would ask me this.
Wait. Chu, have you not been on a business class flight yet?
People love bragging about business class, and a lot of people only fly business class. I'm not going to say any names, Mitch, but there's some people who only lay flat. Right? That's not me.
Over the Atlantic and the Pacific.
That's right.
Mitch is flying first class to Chicago.
For real.
He just can't resist.
Last year, I saw some Q Suites availability, and I figured we're going to Seychelles. It's going to be a bucket list trip. Let me see if I can find award availability to fly to Seychelles. There's only really 2 major airlines that fly to Seychelles, and that's like Emirates and Qatar. I had the availability, and I booked a ticket. It was a lot more points than I've ever used, but I figured it was going to be an amazing experience, and I wanted to see what the hype was. Everybody talks about like the Steve Harvey thing, like, oh, just pay a little bit more money and the upgrade will be worth it. So I put a little bit more money, and let me tell you, one and done. Not doing it again. I hear a lot of amazing things about Q Suites. The first thing is maybe it's on me and I didn't do enough research, or maybe I'm just a peasant and I'm not used to the different amenities and accommodations that they have, but I didn't know these things. First off, I ate way more in economy than I did in Q Suites, which doesn't make sense to me.
You didn't do it right.
I didn't do it right because the lady, she must have thought that I was accustomed to being in business class, so she didn't give me no directions. I was trying to order the whole menu from the jump. I look at these things, I say, I want this. She said, no. She just let me order 2 things, a breakfast and a dinner. So when I ordered, I was waiting for the other food to come, and it never came. I was on a 15-hour flight and ate 2 things. I was starving. I didn't eat the whole flight. The people never checked in the whole time. They just weren't attentive. People say all these things about business versus economy. Let me tell you, the plane has turbulence the same way. I'm telling you, the water was rocking in business class the same way it was in economy. I could not sleep because the plane was so bumpy. So also there was no Wi-Fi on the flight. So
Yeah.
Oh, their Wi-Fi is terrible.
Yeah.
and even if there was Wi-Fi, I still had to pay for the Wi-Fi. I'm like, I'm in business class. But what if I was actually doing business? I got to pay for Wi-Fi? That don't even make sense.
Yeah.
I think personally, business class is worth it if you value sleep. But I sleep in economy as well. I didn't see the value. Maybe for my wife, I'd do it again. But personally, I don't see the hype about it.
Maybe he should have gone on the E word, Serena. That would have done it for him. We're not allowed to say the E word on here, Chu.
Something that really interested me with what you said earlier, Chu, is you are not impressed by luxury.
No,
This is very shocking to Serena.
there's a lot of places to me where I just feel like I don't need somebody to do this for me. Like, why would I pay somebody to do it for me? Like, we were in the Seychelles and we had a concierge in the Waldorf Astoria. Why is this lady want to carry my bags when I could carry my own bags? I always feel like I owe people when they do things for me. And maybe it's just how I grew up and how I was raised that I just don't like people doing things for me. But personally, I don't like the luxury.
I kind of see where you're coming from in the sense that it's like muscle memory because we're used to doing things a certain way and that's the way you've done it. When something new comes around, especially that you had that bad experience, it's going to feel like, why did I do this? It wasn't totally worth it. But I would guarantee if you had a better experience, you may be willing to try it again and then realize this is good. I don't need it all the time, but when I have it, I totally enjoy it. I think you should try it again. Don't worry. I'm going to talk to Olivia.
He's probably not
don't
going
get
to.
Well, then he could sit in the back then and Olivia and I will sit in the front.
Personally, I'm going to be in the back with the people hacking coughing.
Oh, that's how I know you listen to our show.
But realistically speaking, usually the point values are double the price of economy. A 15-hour flight is 15 hours of my life. Me traveling somewhere is 7 days. I would much rather spend it on something else than the flight. To be honest with you guys, if I could stand and hold on the rail like I'm in the New York City Metro and save money, I'm doing it.
If he had said I would rather take Spirit 15 hours, I could see that. But the standing?
If I could stand the whole way and it's a free flight, I would do it. I don't value it. You guys aren't going to find somebody worse than me. And to be honest with you guys, my wife tones it down significantly because there's certain things that she tolerates and there's certain things that she shuts me down and I can't do. So you guys don't even know a quarter of the real things that I would do because of my wife. So be grateful for Olivia.
Thank
and I'm
God
grateful for her as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Olivia. If we've never said it, we're telling you right now. Thank you.
So I think that's the bigger question here, Chu. What did your P2 think of this Qatar flight?
So initially, we were supposed to be in the double bed, but I didn't do enough research. When I took the flight, it was right before Nicole's episode on Q Suites, because she gave me a lot of information that if I would have known before, it would have been great for my flight. But I booked 2 seats that were next to each other in business, and they actually weren't together because they have like a divider in between them. We didn't sit together, and my wife loves sitting together. She was kind of upset because we weren't together and we didn't talk the whole 15-hour flight, and I had to like hop over to see her. My wife is a vegan. On the menu, we pre-ordered some things, but everything is out. By the time we found out that we had to call them every time to get food, there was no food left, especially for her because she's a vegan and vegetarian. So she starved the whole flight. And it's crazy because in economy, she could at least, every time they bring you the food, they could tell them, hey, I want a vegetarian option or something like that. But she had good sleep. She slept the entire time.
But she was hungry.
And she was hungry. It's just not what we expected from that service.
Miguel knows about being hungry on a flight, don't you, Miguel?
Yeah.
But
Always one world.
But I'm going to be honest, I flew Qatar going there in economy, and I had an amazing experience. It was probably one of the best flight experiences that I had. Without the expectation of what business class was, the economy experience was way better because I had no expectations. I think because I had it built up for what the Q Suites was, I was kind of sitting there like, when is it going to become amazing? And it never did for me. I honestly would have rather had the big front seat in Spirit. No joke. I promise you.
Wow.
Let's drink to that, shall we? Mitch, how you feeling? Somebody check Mitch's blood pressure, please.
I know, Mitch, are you okay?
Hold on, I gotta go take my blood pressure medicine. I'll be right back.
I think it's great hearing your perspective, Chu, because, not everyone is going to have the same experience on the same product. We may have a good experience in Q Suite, but it doesn't mean everyone is going to have a great experience. So I think it's a breath of fresh air to hear your take and your experience because not everyone's going to love it.
Not only that, but I think it's great to hear that other perspective as far as like you value your time. And even if it's double the points, you rather spend that on another trip because, the same 14 hours of your life, whether you spend it in economy or in business class, it's the same 15 hours of your life and you value time. Nice to hear that perspective.
Absolutely. And this is actually a little bit difficult situation. And I actually want to hear from you guys what you think. Also, if you guys are watching this, let me know. For my wife's birthday trip, she wants me to surprise her. So keep this a surprise. She doesn't watch this, so don't worry.
Okay.
Neither does mine.
Don't put
Only
this.
you watch.
Just kidding.
We're planning to go to Turkey and Greece for her birthday. And we already booked the Turkish business class flights for her birthday in August. Ticket got changed and we can now change our ticket. As of right now, we have business class tickets and we have a 12-hour layover in Turkey. Honestly, I'd love to spend a lot of time in Turkey, way more than 12 hours. If we switch our flight because of the recent devaluation in Turkish points, those tickets that I bought for 45,000 points per person are now like 85,000 and they don't let me switch from business to business. So they let me switch from business to economy. Now, if I switch and get more time in Turkey, I can get a 5-day stopover per se, or I can stick it the way it is and fly business. So for me, it's like, would I rather fly business for, I think it's a 9 or 10 hour flight, or would I rather have 5 days in Turkey?
This is an Olivia birthday special. Give
Yes.
the girl the business class. You can fly Play Airways to Turkey another time and get 5 days over there. Come on.
Yeah, I would focus on what she would want, what she would pick. Do you know what she would pick? I know you are not impressed with luxury, but is she?
Olivia is essentially like what Nyla is.
Yeah,
a lot to think
you have
about.
To keep the business class.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully you don't go hungry because Turkish, they do have a chef on board. I haven't flown Turkish yet, but they do fly with a chef on board. So the flight attendant doesn't come to your seat, just wave down the chef.
Don't worry, Chu. I'm going on Turkish end of July, so I'll have some information for you.
It's still in the air. I'm hoping that there is some availability so I can fly earlier in business class. But as of right now, there hasn't been an availability. Every time I call the agents, I've been doing the hookah, however you guys say.
It's Hucka.
Hookah.
Great debate.
It's Hucka.
And I haven't gotten somebody that could book me business to business yet. But, I still got about 2 months left. So I'll try a couple more times.
And also, if you fly business class and you have a layover in Istanbul, you get to visit the massive lounge.
I'm excited for the lounge. I'm excited for it.
They got a flight simulator. They got golf simulator. You want to do that. Do that for Olivia.
Hopefully you get that business class flight and hopefully you can pre-order some vegan meals for her too.
I hope so.
Looking into the future, what would you say are the next top 3 destinations you want to visit?
That I want to visit or that I have booked.
Ah, tell us both.
So prior to what a lot of people think, I work a full-time job. Because I do that, I have to put in my time beforehand. At any given moment, I probably have about a year's worth of travel already booked, and I try to travel once a month. So places that I'm excited to visit. For my birthday right now, I have planned to go to South Africa and Namibia. Also, I plan to go to the Maldives in either March or May next year. I have it booked, but I don't know if I'm going to move it around. There's a lot of availability with the Conrad, and Serena told me that it's really good for whale sharks, so I definitely want to go to the Conrad. Mitch, I'm waiting for the availability for the Waldorf Astoria if it opens up. I know you say a lot of good things about that one. I'm going to do a long trip. I'm going to go to Maldives, Sri Lanka, and Dubai because they're all in the same area. And what a lot of people don't know is Wizz Air actually flies from Abu Dhabi, and it's $100 flight from Abu Dhabi to the Maldives. And from the Maldives to Sri Lanka is like another $100 as well. So
Let me write that down. Now, can you tell me how to avoid the $1,000 seaplane?
Oh, yeah.
I know Nicole's feeling on this $1,000 round trip per person yacht ride that you have to take to the Waldorf Maldives. How do you feel about that?
I look at it as the value of what I'm getting. Honestly, I never paid $1,000 for a flight ever in my life. So when I pay $1,000 for 20-minute or an hour boat ride, it doesn't really make sense to me. But I do know that the value that what I'm getting a night at the Waldorf Astoria is probably like $2,000 or something like that a night. So I try to maximize my time. But at the same time, food and all those things are super expensive as well. So it's kind of the longer you stay, the more you're spending on those things and you're kind of stuck there. So it's bucket list trips and bucket list experiences. So
you're willing to pay it?
Yes, I am. It hurts,
Ooh.
but I am very cheap about frugal things. But what I have realized is I'm very grateful that every dollar that I've ever spent on travel, I've never looked for again. I've never went back home and said, wow, I wish I had that $100 that I didn't want to spend for a surfing class or something. So thankfully, I'm in a very grateful position where it's just money.
Yeah, I had that discussion with Serena recently that even
Yes.
though you don't want to spend the money, every time I've spent it, I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. I've never looked back for that money.
I was thinking about that exact same thing, Nicole.
Looks like there's a boat ride in my future.
There's also a balloon ride in Cappadocia in your future, too.
I should book it tonight because Viator has 17 points per dollar.
That's a great value.
All right, Chu, I'm going to follow up on Nicole's question with a little twist. She asked where you're looking forward to, where you want to go. I want to know what credit cards you're going to be getting in your future.
This is actually a little bit troubling question because as of right now, I just bought a house in January, which I'm super grateful for. Getting actually a lot of lines of credit accidentally, not purposefully, because I'm getting solar panels on my house and I'm doing a new HVAC and all these things. So I actually applied for the regular venture recently and I got denied. So
Oh, no.
I thought that was a humbling thing that I should kind of relax because maybe I'm doing too much. But in this points and miles game, you just dust yourself off and try again. So looking at the City Strava card, I know Serena applied for that one as well. Sorry to talk about touchy subjects.
That's okay. Yeah, I'm heartbroken over that one.
Also, right now, there's a really good Hilton promotion where even you get the no-fee beginner card, you get a free annual night reward. And we're planning to go to the Maldives next year. So just by getting that card with no annual fee, it'll add another night to our trip. So it's definitely worth it. Even if I have to spend that $1,000 on that yacht ride, the extra night will definitely be worth it as well.
Don't worry about Capital One. Capital One is very moody. And if they see you're flirting with somebody else, they get all jealous.
Just like City.
Hit up Chase, hit up American Express. You'll find a nice credit line somewhere over there.
The great thing about your guys' show is that you guys keep everything, you keep me informed with all the latest and greatest things. So when you guys tell me to sign up for promos, I sign up for them because I don't want to be caught in a situation where I can't benefit from it.
Thank you. Miguel doesn't
Did you
do
hear that,
so
Miguel?
we're very proud of you.
It was one time. So speaking about credit cards, how many do you have? And then what are the top ones that you like to use?
How many do I have? I would say I probably have somewhere between 10 and 15. I'd say my wife probably has somewhere between 10 and 15 as well. I don't think she knows like you guys.
Oh, that was my next question.
I was going to ask that too.
She has a good amount and we're able to really leverage it with the player too. So the ones that I actually use the most are probably going to be my wife's Venture X. I love that it's 2 points a dollar. I don't have to think about the category spends. And I really like the perks that it has. My priority passes from there. I use it for the rental car insurance. I get a lot of benefits and the cell phone protection. Also, that Hilton card is probably still my favorite card, even though it's got devalued a lot. lot. I get so much value. This year, I was able to go to the Waldorf Astoria Seychelles. I was one of the first people to be there. And later in September, I'm going to the Waldorf Astoria Pedregal in Mexico. I went to Bora Bora on that card, and next year I'm going to the Maldives on that card. So as a broke nobody, I never thought about, and I'm there, and I'm able to take my wife there. So people want to say whatever they want to say, but that Hilton Aspire card has been a game changer, a life changer for me, honestly.
Nicole.
Damn, he hit us with the life
I know.
changer.
Nicole, are you listening?
But luxury doesn't impress you, but you've been to all the Waldorfs. And
I know, exactly.
It's luxury on an airplane.
It doesn't impress me. It's not something that I see the value in it, right? But seeing my wife happy and seeing her seeing these things, it makes it all worth it.
That's the right answer.
Like Nicole, I'm a maximizer. So if something says that it's $2,000 a night and they tell me it's free, I want the $2,000 a night. I don't want to stay in Airbnb that has bugs and roaches if I don't
We don't want to talk
And
about
spiders. And they make you do chores, right?
Fine.
Yes.
Okay. It's funny because I got an email today saying, hey, it's time for you to apply for a new card. It's been 90 days since your last application. Here comes Chew on his Hilton horse.
Great timing.
Hilton horse.
So I know a lot of people in this credit card game are really big on Hyatt. Personally, for somebody like me, Hyatt really just doesn't make sense. You need to stay 60 nights to get those benefits. For me personally, with Hilton, I stay in probably 5 hotels for the year, and I get upgraded to overwater bungalows every time that I travel. I get free breakfast. I get all of these amazing perks. So if you're someone who doesn't travel often, or you're somebody that doesn't stay in hotels often, or don't want to pay more for hotels, the Hilton card is absolutely a difference maker in terms of elevating your level of travel versus the other hotel platforms.
Hold on. I just want to check to make sure Nicole's headphones are working. You caught all that, right? About Hilton?
I did.
Okay,
I did.
good.
Yeah. No comment here.
So, and you are using those Hilton credits on the Hilton card, right? You're burning those. You're making sure to use those.
Yes, absolutely. Every single credit that is there, I use. I get like a $50 per quarter for the flight credits. I get the $200 every 6 months for the hotels, which I use in the Seychelles and I'm going to use in the Waldorf Astoria Pedregal. I get a bunch of different credits. The only one that I don't use is I think it's like an enterprise or like a national car rentals. I don't really use those big name car rentals much. So I don't use that benefit, but everything else I use.
I will agree with you, Chu, about the Hilton cards. I feel like almost to this point right now, because I was just doing a retention call for one of the American Express Platinum cards that we have. And I was looking at that and I was looking at the credits on that. And then I was thinking about the credits that come on the Hilton. I think they're a little more valuable, those credits on the Hilton, than they are on the Platinum. So I'm glad to hear that you're able to get some good use out of those.
Absolutely. And I know a lot of people have difficulty using that credit. I think with the Surpass, you get $50 every month or so. I don't know exactly what they are. And also with the Hilton Aspire, you get $200 every 6 months. I don't know if this is information that I should share, but I know a lot of people who buy gift cards with Hilton gift cards and they get that credit. It's definitely not wasted money that you can use.
Yeah, I just got a gift card in the mail because that's what I did with mine. To me, it was easy convenience, right? I can just log on. Yeah, I got to pay for the delivery, but yeah, sure. Gift card is easy. I think that's great.
Okay, Chu. So with all the Hiltons that you've stayed at, what is yours or your wife's favorite Hilton so far?
To be honest with you guys, I stayed in the Conrad Bora Bora and it was amazing. I know, Serena, you said that the Marriott one was better. I honestly loved it. I think the water in Bora Bora was the most beautiful water I've ever seen in the world. Having the overwater experience was amazing. The breakfast was amazing. I thought that was good, but I would have to say if I didn't have to pay $700 per person to fly on that 20-minute flight from Seychelles, it would be the Seychelles. But the fact that I had to pay $700 per person automatically brought it down. But it was amazing. It was kind of like a private experience because we definitely were the only Americans that were there in Seychelles. We wish that we could have saw some sea turtles that are there, and it's an amazing island. It had great food. All you can eat breakfast. You can order whatever you want. I think that I like the Seychelles more than I like the Conrad Bora Bora, just from the privateness of it. Every villa has its own pool and has its own privacy. Yeah, I'd say the Seychelles.
That's great. I loved your content at the Waldorf Seychelles. It was really exciting for me to watch because you're one of the first content creators who were there. And so I'm going to use a lot of your tips when I go later this year.
It was such an amazing place. The staff was friendly. Maybe too nice. Like I said, when people are too nice to me, I don't like it because I just feel like I owe them, but they were really nice.
That's a New Yorker in you talking.
Chu, tell us about your favorite deal that you've either been on or you're going to book.
Definitely my favorite deal that I've been on, I'd say would be a cash deal, actually. I really wanted to go to Jordan for my birthday when I was in graduate school. Flights during my birthday's in January during holiday season, were super, super expensive. But I actually found a super cheap flight one way from New York to London for like $120 at the time. And then I flew with Ryanair. It was a crazy flight that I've never seen before, from Cyprus to Jordan for $5. So
Wow.
I found the ticket and I was like, I don't even know, at that time, I didn't even know what Cyprus was, but I knew that once I get to Europe, I can get a cheap ticket. So then I flew Jordan back to Cyprus for $7. And I didn't even know what to do or anything. I was just so excited that I found a flight for $5 because in New York, you can't even take the AirTran from JFK to Jamaica for $5. So I was just blown away that I could get on a flight for that price.
You don't have to stand the whole time. You get to sit.
We'll see if they offer it. I might take it.
If any carrier ever offered standing room only flights, it would be Ryanair. I flew Ryanair a lot when I lived in Europe, and I saw a lot of those, €5 tickets everywhere. And yeah, I mean, it was crazy. I flew a lot of Ryanair, so I am a Ryanair fan.
Honestly, when I flew that flight, it was I flew Spirit before, but it was the first place that I've ever been where you had to actually like print your boarding pass, or otherwise you pay for it. And like, I remember I paid $5 for the flight, and they charged me $70 because I didn't have my boarding pass already there. That doesn't even make sense because I paid $5 for the flight and they charged me $70 for a paper pass. And then that flight, let me tell you the crazy thing. The printer was not working. So they actually took out a piece of paper and hand wrote my boarding pass. I
want $60 back.
I'm going to put it up right here on the screen because you guys have to see this. I've never seen that before.
If you don't check in online and have your own boarding pass, they charge you, another fee. And one time I was having an error and I wasn't able to check in. So I was like, they're not going to believe me. So I literally had to screen record me trying to get the boarding pass and check in. And they gave me an error because I checked in. I went to the airport and sure enough, they were trying to charge me. I'm like, no, like there's no way. Look at this. And they had to get a supervisor. They're like, okay. So I was able to get that fee waived. But yeah, they charge you for everything up in there.
For $5, it was worth it.
Chu, have you ever stayed at any properties besides Hilton?
Yes, I have stayed at other properties besides Hilton's that are hotels. I most recently stayed at a Hyatt, which is a Zoetree in Curacao. Honestly, I would not have stayed there, but the only reason why I did is because my wife's friend's 30th birthday was there and they chose to be at this all-inclusive resort. I promise you, was trying to stay at, there's a brand new Hilton. It was like $200 less and it's adults only and it's a brand new resort, but it was an amazing experience. The food was amazing. All the all-inclusives that I've been to, they usually are buffet style and everything was like a private diner. Everything was made to order. At that Zoetree resort, you also have access to the Dreams Resort, which is right across the street and is beachfront, and it's definitely a more lively environment. I definitely would stay at another Hyatt or another Zoetree or another all-inclusive, but I'm going to stay loyal to Hilton for the time being.
What did Serena say? They can all live in harmony together.
But the problem is, I'm a peasant and I don't have any globalist status. So I'm not paying for breakfast. I'm not getting upgrades. I got to pay for all of these things. So it doesn't make sense for me.
You got 5, 4, 3, maybe about 3.5 globalists on here.
All right.
And as long as you inquire before the end of the year, we got you.
Okay, sounds
After
good.
the end of the year, it's a little sketchy.
Hyatt has some pretty good redemption, so I wouldn't be opposed to it. Hotels, I don't really see the value in them versus Airbnbs because there's places where I see an Airbnb for $30 and I see a hotel for $100. Like, I just don't. Majority of the trip, I honestly am out exploring and I'm literally just sleeping. As long as they don't have like roaches and things like that. But my wife is really particular and she picks better hotels. I prefer Airbnbs, especially with the British Airways. I think I get 2 points per dollar on every Airbnb that I spend, or it used to be 3. I think it's down to 2 now.
So after I watched your Lima video, I really contemplated staying at an Airbnb instead of the Hyatt. In Lima, you can get really nice apartments for $30 to $50. But then I had Serena in the back of my head, like, give your family luxury, no chores.
No choice.
I think a lot of those chores and the bad reps that a lot of people give is an American thing. I think outside of the US, a lot of places don't even give cleaning fees, which is crazy. A lot of them, they waive the service charge as well. So like if it says $25, you literally just pay like maybe $28 because you pay like tax or something. And a lot of the places, especially like hotels, will be on Airbnb and they already already have cleaners that come in and do it anyway. My wife has a really good article on like saving money on Airbnb. So if you guys check out our website, because there's a lot of really good information on our choosetoexplore.com as well.
Wow, that's good information. I didn't know that.
So I have a question too regarding your destinations. I see that you love to explore, not necessarily stay at the hotel, and you spend a lot of time out exploring. So as far as these destinations, which destination have you been to that has surprised you? Maybe you had some expectations, whether good or bad.
This may be another unpopular opinion, but you guys are getting honest truth today on this podcast. During our honeymoon, we had planned to go to Bali, Indonesia, and a lot of people love Bali.
Uh-oh. Here we go, Mitch.
Me? I do not. I will never set foot again in Bali, and I'm okay with it. Bali to me could have been beautiful, but there are way more tourists than there are Balinese or Indonesians. Every single thing, while Bali isn't expensive, everything is a day club and everything is parties. Food is good. A lot of places are just as expensive as New York. There's a lot of young teenagers drinking and doing drugs, and there is a lot of natural beauty there, but you have to really get outside of those tourist areas. Traffic there is really bad. A lot of people ride the motorbikes, but a lot of people get in accidents with their motorbikes. But there is still a lot of culture, a lot of amazing people, and a lot of good experience that you can have. But I would recommend, if you are someone that likes to explore, is to get outside of that southern region of Bali and Ubud and the Seminyak and Uluwatu, I believe, and going to other regions. But Bali to me won't visit again. I think that worst thing about Bali, you have to pay for everything. Even though they say it's cheap, you pay for everything. Like you go to the beach, you have to pay for it. You go to a rice field, you got to pay for it. You got to pay to see nature. Everybody goes to Bali and they do the Bali swing, and the person told me it was $40 to take a picture at the Bali swing. So to take a picture on the swing was just kind of crazy. To me personally, it's just the fact that a lot of places you go and it's beautiful, but there's 2-hour long line waiting there to take a picture. It really takes away the experience. You should be exploring and not sitting to make it look like you're having a good experience. You should actually be having a good experience.
Mitch is having deja vu.
All over again.
If my wife wants to go, I would go. But if I never set foot there again, in Bali, I think Indonesia itself is completely separate. But Bali itself, it's over touristy. Everybody caters to the tourist. It was really difficult for me to get a real authentic experience in Bali, unfortunately. And that's what I travel for.
Mitch, this is where you say, I second that motion.
There's nothing else to say because I agree with everything you just said, 1000%. And I will say the only good thing that I liked about Bali was staying at the Andaz. That's it. That's the only thing that I enjoyed when I was in Bali. You know, you talk about like taking pictures at the temples and all of that. We experienced that. I even talked about that in that special edition episode that I did. And it was just horrible. And I don't want to experience that again. So I'm with you 1000%. I do not want to go back to Bali ever again.
Only if you want to have the best breakfast ever at Andaz.
Well, yeah, okay. That's the excepted. Yes.
What I would say is that it's a great place to navigate if you want to go to Asia and you are uncomfortable, or maybe you want to be solo or something. Pretty much everybody speaks English because everybody's not from Indonesia. As someone who has traveled to a lot of different places and has seen a lot of different things and travels for culture and people and experiences, Bali did have some, but not nearly enough for me to feel fulfilled in that trip.
I would push back on that even more, Chu, because I can name 5 other destinations in Southeast Asia that I would rather go to than go to Bali, because like you just said, it just felt so touristy to me. It felt like every time I turned around, they were trying to sell me something, or I was trying to get this picture or that. And it was just a horrible experience.
But on the other hand, a place that really surprised me in a good way definitely is Malaysia. On my honeymoon, I had an issue with my visa getting into Vietnam, and we actually couldn't go there. And we planned to have a whole 8-day trip in Vietnam, but couldn't get in. So spur of the moment, from Singapore, we got $20 bus to go to Malaysia just because it was too expensive to stay a night in Singapore. And it was probably, honestly, my favorite destination in Southeast Asia. And I didn't expect it. I didn't plan anything. It was just amazing. It's a super diverse place. The food there is amazing. It's inexpensive. It has just as many beautiful buildings as Singapore, and it's a quarter or a fraction of the price. We stayed in a luxury hotel Airbnb, and it was like $25 a night. We had a rooftop infinity pool with the second or third tallest building in our view of the infinity pool. It was an amazing destination. Honestly, I was kind of mad at myself that I went to Bali after that. Malaysia super surprised me, and my only regret is that I didn't book it in the first place and I only had 2 days on that trip. But I definitely plan to circle back and go back to Malaysia.
I know it says a lot when you say you will return to a location.
We're actually going back to Southeast Asia a couple of times in the future. October, we're going to China, Cambodia, and Thailand. We may circle back, and instead of going back to Thailand, we may go to Malaysia again this time, but we'll see. So thank you guys so much for having me. Seeing you guys' journey from the first week to right now has been amazing. I tell you guys all the time that your channel is literally the only podcast that I watch. And my long drives are so much easier because of you guys. And I can't wait to see what you guys are going to look like a year from now. Or it's just amazing the work that you guys do. So keep us entertained. Keep creating amazing content. Thanks for having me. Love you guys all. I'll see you guys at the Chicago show.
Thank you for your support, Chu. It's really meant a lot to us over the past year. And thank you for being on our show. Up next is our weekly recap.
It's now time for our weekly recap. This is where we share our tips and tricks with you from the stuff that we've recently booked. And we're going to start with Serena. And I'm sure there's a buffet story somewhere I need to hear from you that's really good. But first, I want to know how you got there. How did you get on this cruise? Because from the chat, there was a little bit of drama that went down with your flight, right?
Lots of drama. So I am on Royal Caribbean's Icon of the Seas, which is the biggest cruise ship in the world. We have 7,300 passengers on board. This is not for everyone. I don't think it's for you, Mitch. But
No, not at all. That's a lot.
That's 10 Exploros.
Yes.
Yes.
It is. Yes. Oh.
But we are having a fantastic time. My family is enjoying all the amenities and all the activities. There is a water park on board. There is a zip line that swings you off the edge of the ship. There is lots of food, lots of pools, and shows at night, which my kids love. And then our favorite, which is the all-you-can-eat ice cream. But we almost didn't make it here because there was a storm in Florida and my flight from San Francisco to Miami was canceled. So I'm going to be talking about my situation and what happened and what you can do if this also happens to you. Our American Airlines flight was the first nonstop in the morning, and they told us it would be delayed 6 hours due to weather in Miami. A few hours later, the airline saw a window of opportunity and thought we would be able to take off. So while we were boarding this already delayed flight, we were getting text messages and notifications that the flight we were on was going to be canceled. Then we had to get off the plane. So at this point, I knew the terminal was going to be crazy with tons of people trying to get on another flight. It wasn't just our flight that was canceled, but also other airlines canceled their flights to Miami and Fort Lauderdale as well. We were still on the plane of the canceled flight and we were waiting to get off, but I had to do something. So I started chatting with AA on the American Airlines app. I've used their chat feature before and it's pretty good to get some things done. But the chat agent couldn't help me because I booked this flight through a travel agent. They wanted me to go through my travel agent to get rebooked. And then I remembered, oh yeah, I booked these tickets through Capital One. I was using the Capital One portal because I wanted to use my $300 travel credit. So chatting through the app was not going to work. I'm still sitting on the plane waiting to get off. My next course of action was to call American Airlines. Rather than wait for an agent to help me in the terminal, I thought I should try to get someone to help me on the phone. I get connected to a phone rep, tell her my problem, and she's looking for alternative flights for me. And at that point, I'm off the plane and there's this huge line of people needing to be rebooked. I tell my husband to wait in this long line, and then I work on my third course of action. I go to the American Airlines Admirals Club at SFO and pay the $79 fee for the one-day pass. I did this because I knew the line would not be long inside the lounge, and I know the reps are more experienced and might be able to help me. So at this point, I'm still on the phone with the AA rep, and she's trying to find me another flight on the phone. My husband is waiting in the long line in the terminal, and I am now inside the Admirals Club. There's one person in front of me waiting to speak to a rep inside the Admirals Club, and my husband has about 50 people in front of him. So on this trip, I was with my husband, my 2 kids, and my parents. So there were the 6 of us. The biggest problem the AA rep was having was finding 6 seats in economy on American Airlines to get to Florida before Saturday. They could get me there Saturday afternoon, but that would be too late because I needed to be on the cruise ship by noon on Saturday. And I was also chatting with the Let's Get to the Points team here during this time, and you guys were very helpful with giving me alternate flights I could take, alternate airports I can fly into, because at this point I was so desperate. I was willing to drive 10 hours in order to get to Miami. So thank you guys very much for helping me out in this situation.
You're welcome.
I'm in the Admirals Club. I'm talking to a rep and explaining my situation. Heather at the SFO Admirals Club is the nicest person. She understood the assignment and went to work for me. Heather made a few suggestions with flights on United, and then Mitch had told me in the chat that he saw 6 seats on a United flight from San Francisco to Fort Lauderdale that night. So I asked Heather if she could look at that one for me. She saw the seats and she booked it. Now this whole thing, it sounds so easy when I talk about it, but this whole thing took like an hour. I checked in online for the United website and there were no more complimentary seats left. United wanted me to pay $99 for each Economy Plus seat. And I'm like, no way am I going to do that. And I know United recently implemented their family seating policy. So I called United and they booked all 6 of us in Economy Plus for free. Thank goodness for children.
Sometimes.
Very rarely.
So Serena, can you talk about how you were flying American Airlines and they rebooked you on a different airline on United? Because I have a similar story, but that's not something that happens often. So I don't know if people know that that's even a possibility to even request that, for an airline to do that for you.
I think the big carriers like United and American can do things like that in situations like this when there are widespread cancellations and issues. But if you're flying Southwest or Spirit, it's not going to happen.
I knew you were going to say the X word.
I know we talked bad about American Airlines and how they kept me hungry on this super long flight. But one of the best experiences as far as customer service with me with American Airlines, it was something similar to your situation. So I was on a flight back from Rio back to New York, I think. I was in the Admirals Club because it was a business class flight. They were very proactive about the cancellation. They said, hey, sir, we might be canceling our flight, so we're going to rebook you on United. I was like, okay, do you mind flying into New York? Instead, I'm like, no, just as long as I get back, I'm fine. So they actually ticketed me on United. I had a ticket for United. Now, like an hour later, they came back and said, actually, we didn't cancel our flight, so you're back on American. I just thought it was interesting that they proactively came out and said we might be canceling our flight and ticketed me on a different airline. I'd never heard of that before this happened to me. The other good thing that came out about this experience is that I had actually booked this very good deal. It was about $500 round trip in business class from New York to Brazil. And the initial ticket, I was only going to be earning based off of the fare, which was not a lot of miles. But once it was reissued after they switched back from United back to American Airlines, is that it was now categorized as a special fare. And I was going to be earning miles based off of distance. So that's when I first earned status with American Airlines because I earned a lot of miles for that trip. But yeah, I just think it's interesting that these big airlines can rebook you on a different airlines when there is what they call irregular operations.
Serena, with them rebooking you on United, did you have to pay anything at all for that flight?
Not at all, because AA rebooked me. I didn't have to pay anything out of pocket, which is nice. I should check to see if I received United miles from that flight.
You should have earned, well, I hope you earned some United miles for that, or times 6.
Yeah.
2 things, Serena. Number 1, brilliant move. Going to the lounge and getting an agent to rebook you, because when weather starts canceling flights like that, those seats, they just start going fast. So that was an excellent move. So good job on that. So that's number 1. Number 2, like Miguel said, I'm really shocked that they rebook you on United. That, I don't know if it's pure luck or you just got a really good agent, but good job on that, because a couple of years ago, I had a kind of a similar situation where we were on Qantas and we were going from Auckland back to Sydney, and we woke up and they canceled the flight, and I was just like petrified, like what's going to happen? I'm screaming at Polaroid, we got to get to the airport because they just canceled our flight. Because normally when it's like weather and stuff like that, you just don't know what they're going to do. And almost similar to you, what they did for us, they rebooked us on Air New Zealand. But the best part is it was a One World award ticket that we were on Qantas. When they had rebooked us, it became a full fare, and we actually got the mileage credited for an award ticket because we were rebooked on Air New Zealand on that flight. You really need to check your mileage and make sure that you get that for United for sure, even though that you had purchased it.
Yeah, I should. When situations like this happen, it's a race. It's a race to see who can get rebooked the fastest. And when you're in this situation, you want to do everything you can to get a rep to help you right away. It means hitting them on all sides, waiting in line outside, waiting in line inside, getting into a lounge, getting a rep, get on the phone, get chat, or chat on the AA app. You know, all those really matter. And the fastest you are, the more likely you're going to get the seats on those planes. I did not propose the United flight first. Heather at the Admirals Club, oh, she's so wonderful. She's the one who first proposed these United flights. And I was like, oh, United's an option? How about this one? And so I'm really glad that she actually went above and beyond and looked beyond American Airlines. So I'm really thankful to Heather at the Admirals Club at SFO. She really saved our trip.
So I'm thinking about two things. Number one, all I heard was race. And I'm thinking watching our show is like marathon training to get you prepared for these kind of situations.
Yeah.
Number two, now that we know that these big airlines can book you on a completely different airline should something like this happen, this would be the perfect time to use the gentleman over there said that you could book me on United.
And a perfect reason to not fly Spirit.
Here, here.
Must agree. I agree with this, yes.
Yeah, Spirit won't even rebook you on Spirit.
This is true.
That is true.
It's great to also have other options in mind. Take a look at the flights that are available. So thank you to you guys who are looking at alternative flights for me. Have those handy so that you could present options to the rep. Present the options that work better for you. I wanted a nonstop flight. Heather was proposing flights that included a stop somewhere else. I wanted to get there the quickest way possible. And so Mitch helped me find a flight like that. And when I presented it to her, then she was able to see it. So it's great to do research also at the same time. And the most miraculous thing about all of this is our 4 checked bags made it on our United flight in Fort Lauderdale. Heather offered to move our bags from AA to United. And I was like, I don't know, we should do that. She said, you can go down and pick them up too. But I'm like, oh, then I have to pay for bags, right? She said, yeah, probably. And I'm like, oh, okay. Me being very frugal and not wanting to pay for bags, I said, okay, let's try this out. And she actually said that they're pretty good about transporting bags. And when we got in Fort Lauderdale, they showed up. That was miraculous, I thought.
I think what's miraculous here is Heather. I don't think I've ever heard of an agent being this miraculous.
So the new line is Heather said you could do it.
Yeah.
But when she said to me, okay, what are the colors of your bags? And I'm thinking, they're going to go by color. I don't know if this is a good idea. She goes, no. They're pretty good about this. It's very high success rate. I'm like, okay, let's go with it. So the bags made it. It was a very stressful time because not only did I have to get rebooked on flights, I also had to rearrange hotels and also my car rental. It ended on a happy note because we got to Miami. We got to spend time with Nicole's family in Miami. Nicole's mom made us a delicious Jamaican dinner with oxtail. My dad loved it. And now we're enjoying our time on this cruise.
Your dad said to my mom, this oxtail is better than Chinese oxtail.
He did say
put it
that.
out there.
Wow.
And that's saying a lot
And he
because
is from China.
he is. He has a lot of Chinese pride. For him to say something like that, it means something. So thank you to your family and your hospitality, Nicole. We had a great time. My kids loved your pool. The food was so good. The company was great. Finally meeting Nana was the icing on the cake.
Wait, hold on. Nicole's got a pool? I've now heard about this.
It's Miami.
It's a very nice pool too.
I say the next meetup should be in Miami.
I'm down.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Comes with pool, oxtail, nana. What more could you ask for?
One last tip I have. If you're going on a cruise, always arrive at your port 2 to 3 days in advance of embarking on your cruise ship so that you can avoid missing your ship. I've always lived by that. And when this happened, I turned and I told my family, this is why you don't fly the day that your cruise ship sets sail.
Because the cruise ship waits for no one.
That's right.
That's a really good tip, Serena. But I think the more important tip is the washy your hands video that you sent us. Can we share this? Can we just show
Yes.
this real quick?
It's the washy twins at the Windjammer.
Oh, this is great. Yeah, just, that's the other good tip. You want to leave early for your cruise, but you got to wash your hands on the cruise. That's the other good tip. All right. Well, are we going to hear more about your cruise too?
Let us know in the comments if you want to hear more about my cruise. I'm on the largest ship that's sailing right now.
Basically, today's Titanic.
Oh, Miguel.
Without
no.
Without the sinking part.
Yeah, I definitely want to hear about your cruise. So yes, please. Yes. 2 votes. Miguel's 3. Yeah, motion carried. We want to hear more about this cruise.
Special edition signed.
Please let us know in the comments if you want to hear more about Icon of the Seas.
Thank you, Serena. Thank you, everyone. That's it for now. I want to thank all of our hosts. It's Serena at Sea.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Miguel.
Later.
And we're going to see you next week, Nicole.
Yes, and in a different location. See you guys next week.
And I've been Shannon. You can find out more about us at our website, letsgettothepoints.com. Thanks again to our good friend Choose from Choose to Explore and his YouTube channel for joining us on this very special edition. And we're off next week, but we've got a very special episode for you. I'm going to play back Where I Go to the Grand Hyatt Baha Mar in the Bahamas for you. Please, we'll be off next week, but join us then after, all right? And we'll all see you here the Friday after that. Thank you for watching and listening.
Let's get to the points.com.